All right, my children. So this next technique we're gonna do is called the yarn technique. Okay, so I've already put some acrylic, some brick acrylic in there. And the thing is that I really wanna saturate, you guys are gonna get yarn. So if there's not any more pieces, you can go ahead and cut a length that you want off. And we wanna saturate this piece of yarn from like halfway down in here, but right now it's not, it's very, thick. So I'm going to introduce you to, these guys are our reusable water cups. You can find this water cup over in the rainbow drawers, and it's labeled water cup. Okay, so I'm going to pour a little bit into my muffin cup, and then I'm also going to use, this thing is called a palette knife. And you can also find this over in the rainbow drawers. These are called palette knives. And I'm just going to mix it together and get it kind of watery. Perfecto, because I really want to saturate the yarn with this color. Oh, you're gonna have fun with this. All right, so I'm gonna try to take about half of the yarn and get it saturated, and you can go ahead and take that palette knife, kind of press it into it too. Da, 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 da. My gosh, I'm thinking of the techniques that my students have used, how much yarn they've used, the length of it, and kind of, I'm just having good memories of students using this. Okay, I'm gonna put this over here, and now I'm going to use it to paint with, okay? So you're going to paint with your yarn. You can get very cool techniques, some linear techniques. And why I'm laughing is because I'm just thinking of, I've had kids who kind of whipped it, over and over again, and they kind of got really enthusiastic. So if you want to get wild and crazy with this, make sure, one, you're not by anybody else, and two, make sure you're wearing a smock. But you can kind of see really cool technique with that. So you can kind of do more circular, kind of dragging, but you probably want to get it more saturated again. Ooh, I like how it made like a loop. And you can definitely get a lot of different textures and patterns with that. Really cool, right? Cool. All right, guys, I'm here with our next technique. This one is gonna be called like wax resist. Okay, so crayons and colored pencils have wax in them, and I think I'm gonna order some white crayons too. But it's kind of like, I like to think of, I don't know if you guys are Harry Potter fans, but I think about like, the appearing map. That's kind of what it makes me think of, okay? So I'm gonna do some patterns with just the color, just so you could see how once you fill the paper with the crayon that has wax, beeswax in it, and then you try to apply something wet over it, it's not gonna be able to be absorbed. It's gonna resist, and it's actually gonna push off the paint. So I'm just gonna do some designs just to show you. I think it's gonna be better on video with the color, okay? But then with my white colored pencil, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna write kind of thick in white. I'm gonna write a secret message to you. You guys maybe already figured it out. Okay, so I have my reusable water cup. I filled it with water, okay? And then also over in the drawers, the colorful drawers, you're gonna see there's sets of watercolors, okay? So let me show you how this works. So you're gonna take the watercolor brush, and you can use the other watercolor brushes. You can use other brushes in here as well. Just make sure it's really nicely rinsed, because this isn't very thick. So I'm gonna take some water and I'm gonna add it to the color that I wanna use. And I'm gonna go back, and I really want to continue to add water until it's nice and moist. I don't like that word, but I don't know, wet. Okay, it's nice and wet. All right, so now I'm going to use that, and I'm gonna go over my secret message. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. And then I'm also gonna do it over my crayon. So you can be much more thoughtful with what you actually draw, but notice that it looks really cool with the yellow. So I highly recommend like maybe the lighter color. And then notice the really nice texture that you can kind of see where it is soaking into where the crayon did not get onto. And then it's, you know, repelling wherever there's wax. So this is the wax resist. You can make some secret messages. So you can pull these white colored pencils out over in the rainbow drawers. There's also a drawer of crayons. And again, I really like the yellow kind of technique and how it made it resist right there. So that is the watercolor technique. All right, guys, so I started with a new piece of paper and I'm just taking a brush and some black acrylic and I'm just covering the entire page with it. And I just wanted to show you that you might want to think it looks really cool if you do this technique, which I call the splatter effect, on like dark and use like a lighter color. I'm just gonna use pink so that I'm not wasting paint here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to put another, this is a new paintbrush for this color. Like you could do it with white. It looks really cool if you do like black and then white paint on top. Okay, this is one that you probably wanna wear a smock with and you don't wanna be around anybody else. So please be careful. Okay, all right, so here's the thing. It's a technique. What I'm gonna do is I have one finger down and basically I'm just gonna tap or like almost fling it onto my finger, this paintbrush that's wet. And the more kind of pressure you kind of hit it with, ta-da, isn't it cool? All right, so that's that splatter. And then, yeah, I have kids who like really flick it really hard. And then you're gonna get kind of like lines like Jackson Pollock kind of style. Okay, so make sure that you definitely have paper underneath you. And definitely make sure you're wearing a smock and make sure that you're not around anyone else. Don't get it on anybody else. All right, guys, I'm here with our last technique of today. Okay, things you're gonna need. You're gonna need a brayer. So this is a brayer. It's just a little roller, but the technical term for it is a brayer. Okay, and then I also have this lino cut. Okay, so this is linoleum is what we call it, and it's cut out. Okay, so there's this shape that's cut out right here, and I'm going to use this to actually like stamp after I have rolled on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I've been a really big fan of pink today, so I'm just going to keep going with it, is I'm going to put some acrylic paint on some paper, and then I'm going to use the brayer to get it on, to spread it out and get it on the brayer evenly. So I'm going to go over my lino, stamp, and then I'm going to stamp with it. Boop, boop, boop. And you can put it right over it. This just puts it on evenly. Boop, boop. Now I made this very quickly and you can see that I did not do a very good job of cutting it out. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over how do I actually make this thing. I actually only have, this is called a lino cutter. I only actually have one right now. I'm gonna go ask Mr. Clark or Mr. Jansma if they have more. So I'm gonna put this aside to show you. So this is linoleum, okay? And this is a lino cutter. So what this is like you can make a stamp out of it, okay? And I'll put white paper so you can see a little bit better. So I can draw a design. So I already made a circle, so maybe I'll do a triangle, okay? And then you're gonna use the lino cutter to actually cut out. Now here, watch this. If I had my finger here and I was going here, boom, you're gonna cut your finger. So you have to be really careful. And how deep should you go? You should try to get about half the depth of it out. So it's this thickness, you wanna go to about half the thickness. And notice that I didn't do that at the very edges of mine here. and that's why you can kind of see it on the paper. Okay, and so I'm just going to keep cutting this out. And I have enough for everyone to make one stamp. I just have one lino cutter. Hopefully they have more. I don't think our orders are going to come in for a couple months, or maybe even later. We didn't get a lot of stuff till like the very end of last year because of the manufacturing crisis. So we'll make it work. And you can use other people's stamps that are already created too. That's totally fine. We're just stamping with it. And you know, you can make one. Okay, but now you know how to make the stamp and how to cut it out. Just check in with me to get a Sharpie. I kind of keep these to myself because they disappear. All right, and then when you're all done, you want to make sure that you rinse your brayer off, and then you rinse off your little stampy stamp.